inspiration, education, action. This is the Seeds to Success Show with Ben Godinez on Money 105.5.
Welcome back to the Seeds to Success Show. I am your host and Insurance 101 guy, Ben Godinez with Gateway Insurance Group. Take the if out of life and learn to live. Thanks so much for tuning in. The show is brought to you in part by Go View This Home. So go make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, guys. I encourage all of you because you'll actually see all the videos when we post them, so you can really see who's talking and get more insights. And as well, you'll get to see all the cool stuff that the Facebook Live viewers are seeing right now, which is the Flatland goodies. So they actually have growlers, and they have glasses, and now you guys have, what are they called? The cannerators? Growlers.
Crowler.
It's so awesome. So, all right, let's get back into Andrew here from Flatland Brewing Company, who is a pioneer entrepreneur. He has started the first brewery here in Elk Grove currently, and since then there's been a wave of new breweries that are opening up in Elk Grove. So we're listening to him and getting some of his insight and applying it to all of our businesses, because whether you're a business owner or you work for somebody, you've got to innovate and you've got to do something different. And that's what these guys are doing, and that's why I brought them on the show out of all the different breweries that are here. So talk a little bit about what makes you guys unique and what made you guys stand out, again, in a saturated type of market here in Sacramento.
Yeah, well, that's kind of easy. I think our standout, our vision is quite a bit different. We constantly rotate beer. We never really have, I don't want to say never, because, who knows, it's going to be a long journey, I think, but we try not to reproduce the same beer. So most breweries you go into, you have your core beers, an IPA of some sort, and a pale ale, a stout. We like that, but that's not the way I like to drink beer. And so that's not the way I want to show the beer off. And so, every batch we brew is going to be quite a bit different than the last one. We may take inspiration from previous batches or other breweries, and take a spin on it and put something different out.
That's incredible. So it keeps everybody guessing and keeps them coming back, right? And I'm the same way personally. I never have the same beer twice, or at least I try not to. So I try to go to places that serve a rotating tap, right? And that's what you guys offer in the brewery. So you can go back to the same brewery and get a different beer every week.
Yeah, it's fun, and we did quite a bit of research on that before we opened the brewery, and the average beer drinker is the same as us. They like the rotation. They always come in and say what's new, and we noticed that it's the number one selling beer of the weekend every week. So we have a new beer out practically every week, and it's the number one selling beer every week.
What do you know?
So yeah, look at that, it works.
It works. Keep people guessing. I love it. Now, where do you even get your recipes? Like, how can you possibly come up with like 8 different recipes a week?
Yeah.
How does that work? It's all because of Michelle over here and cooking in the kitchen.
That's definitely where Andrew comes in. I'm the support on the brewing half of it. He really has the inside knowledge on the brewing aspect of it.
Right. Okay. All started from the kitchen at home. So
it did. Yeah. And honestly, speaking of the kitchen, we do a lot of inspiration from food. There's a lot of combinations out in the food world, the culinary world, that work really well. And so if you can put it in a liquid form, like a cucumber sour.
Right.
That sounds funky and weird, but
Which I tried it last week, and it was very delicious. Refreshing.
It's spa water practically with acidity. Black Forest Stout, cherry chocolate stout. There's chocolate hazelnut porter. I mean, that's a fun beer that my wife likes.
Wow.
There's so many different ways that you can get creative. Actually, speaking of Riscate Coffee, we're going to be using our coffee in one of our beers coming up. It's a golden coffee milk stout. So,
I did the porter tasting that you guys did with Riscate recently, and that was unbelievable.
Yeah,
I've never liked. I personally never order a porter like for a whole glass, but I had the whole taster flight, and I was enthusiastically a fan of everything because it's the coffee and the chocolate and all of those flavors. And it's refreshing, more so than I don't know. I guess stouts in general can be very thick,
right?
Like a milkshake.
Yes,
but the porters were.
Yeah, that's why we chose porter for that. And actually, that was the good experiment to make the blend of Riscate coffee that we used in the new beers. And we pretty much took 5 different beers and added coffee to each one, a different coffee to each one. And then we had you guys come in and tell us what you liked the best, and then we made a blend out of those. So it was fun. It was interactive. It was experimental, and we learned a lot as well as you guys did. So
right,
yeah, definitely beneficial for everybody.
So talk a little bit about that, about how you're co-branding and how you're partnering up with other neighboring businesses to help you guys thrive.
Yeah, gosh, I say if you're not doing that, you're behind. There's so many other great ideas out there. There's visionaries that you have to take advantage of, or at least work with. So Rescate was one of those. They have the same vision that we do, where it's different than your traditional coffee house, but the coffee is amazing.
Right. And
so we saw eye to eye on a lot, and so we met early on, and Anthony and Ladd over there, just brilliant people, and we share a lot of the same things. So that was a no-brainer. Tilted Mash, the other neighbor brewery.
Yeah, you're partnering with a competitor. But you're not competitive. I mean, you're competing, but you're not, because if there was just one brewery in Elk Grove, how many people are going to make the trip from Roseville or Folsom or even Sac? Yeah. Oh my God, Elk Grove is a pilgrimage away. It's 15 minutes from downtown. People, give me a break.
No, yeah.
All right, but now that there's two,
it's incentive.
They're like, okay, I can spend an afternoon out there.
And a rising tide floats all boats. So if they do well, we're a mile away. If we're any further, the relationship probably wouldn't be what it is.
Yeah.
It'd be maybe a little more competition, but we pick their brand and see what they're brewing, so we brew something opposite of what they're brewing, so we don't have the same parallel beer. And gosh, they're just great people. So it was a no-brainer to work with those guys.
That's awesome too.
Yeah. So we actually did a collaboration beer once, and we are doing another one in a couple months. And then I don't think that's going to change. I think that's going to keep going for as long as we're both alive.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, one other thing that you guys are doing that I think is really interesting that I've personally never seen before in a brewery is that you guys occasionally will do on-site canning of your beers. Because, you go to, let's say, for example, use the mainstream one of Pliny the Elder, Pliny the Younger, you can't bottle it or you can't growl it or whatever. But and especially with you guys not having a staple, if someone falls in love with one of your beers, they're thinking, oh, great, well, I can only get it those 3 days a week. Well, no. I mean, first of all, they do last a week or two sometimes, right, if you do the bigger batches. Yeah. But now you guys can can on site. How does that work?
Well, so speaking of co-branding, there's another Elk Grove company that just started called Get Canned, LLC, and just great guys. And so they got this canning machine, which is just rad. And you put it on the counter, you put beer into a can, and you steam it right on site. So it's like a glass growler you would typically have at a brewery, but in a better format. It's less volume. It's 32 ounces. And so you're not committed to 64 ounces of one beer like a traditional growler.
Right.
So it's been great having that machine around. So we just kind of rent it off those guys. They do all the hard work, and we just play with it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So actually this weekend we're going to be having it back, and hopefully for a couple of weeks.
Excellent.
We've had a hard time actually keeping up with demand, and so we've had to grow faster than what is comfortable, but it's still fine. And so the crowler machine we actually had to stop doing for a couple of weeks because we were selling so much beer.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had to slow down. And if we run out of beer at the tap room, that's a bad sign.
Right.
I'd rather have no distribution.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's an incubator. So, I'd rather not have distribution and only have beer inside. And so that's kind of what we're doing right now, which is again, opposite of what most breweries do.
Right. Now, are you guys planning on getting to the point where you're getting sold in stores? Eventually getting the 6-pack of cans or whatever.
Gosh, that's so far down the road. That's not even. It's a goal.
Yeah.
But it's not quite the brand that I want to help build. Right. Obviously, there's a lot of people involved in this opportunity. But if we could be the neighborhood brewery, that's my goal, and have people, after work, bring the kids over after a baseball game, after a round of golf, come hang out.
Right.
Yeah.
Softball, namely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shameless plug. They are my softball sponsor. Them and Beers in Sac, coincidentally. So you guys made us some awesome jerseys.
Those were some fine-looking jerseys, I have to say.
Absolutely. They kind of remind me of like the 1921 White Sox or something with like the long, baggy, jersey. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's perfect. For me personally, it's how I warm up before the softball game.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that it helps me hit home runs.
It's the loose juice.
If you guys know me, you know that I'm shorter than the average male. And I'm not typically the home run hitter. I'm usually the leadoff guy. I'm literally the smallest guy on the team. So I never hit home runs over the fence. 300-foot fence, tall fence. And I had the Aloha Ale before one of my games, which is a, triple IPA?
It's a triple coconut pineapple IPA.
Yeah, coconut IPA of all things. And I hit a grand slam when the game was tied in the 5th inning, a 3-run homer in the 7th inning, and a triple off the wall. So I scored, I think, 9 out of our 11 runs that game. All because of the Aloha Ale. I did nothing different.
Oh, right.
Other than just add that to my recipe. So I thank you guys for that.
Well, thank you.
So there's some magic potion in the coffee or in the IPAs for sure. That leads me to my next question before we go to commercial break, which is basically like, how did you get your experience in brew making other than just experimenting at home? You must have learned how to make beer from somewhere.
Well, honestly, it's just a lot of research. It's a lot of home brewing, a lot of research, and kind of being around beer-focused people. You just absorb. If you're an open mind, you can just absorb a lot more than you would if you're not. Okay. And so that's kind of the way I think now. And even still, a lot of people coming in and give us advice. And I'll take it. I'll try it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I can try it again. But that's the cool thing about our model. Gosh, it's really just a lot of research and homebrewing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no real commercial experience.
So in 2007, when you started homebrewing, was your goal to open up your own brewery?
Yeah, not right off the bat, but shortly thereafter. Okay. And I would say every home brewer gets that bug right off the bat. I mean, it's a fun hobby. It's a lot of work, and it makes you respect, obviously, any alcohol, but beer especially because the amount of labor that goes into it. But you have beer. So, I mean, you're always happy. You're always in a good mood. And, you're drinking something that was made from practically nothing.
Right. Literally nothing.
Yeah. And
water
and if it works well, it's a great feeling.
What kind of did you ever test your beers at like state fairs or around the?
Yeah. So early on, I was doing quite a bit of competitions and had some success. Before I started doing that, it wasn't great. Yeah. But the competitions helped round it out.
Okay. Yeah, excellent. All right. So, because I'm thinking about for people that are listening and how they can apply this to their business or their dream. You started experimenting at home, probably in the kitchen, by the grace of your wife, and low risk, low tolerance, not necessarily making it public, but mastering your craft, practicing behind the scenes when nobody's watching, and grinding it out. In your case, drinking it out or whatever, but failing forward. And so with every batch that you made, you're learning something from it until you got to the point where people demanded it, you wanted to do it, and then you just jumped all in with both feet.
Right.
And that's what we're going to talk about here in the third segment. So I thank you for your knowledge here. Stay with us here on the Seeds of Success show with Andrew from Flatland Brewing Company.